There's a topic that shows up throughout the Bible that most of us would rather not think about.
Let me guess, hell?
Right. And honestly, our culture has filled our imagination with so many images, from Dante's Inferno to cartoon devils with pitchforks, that it's hard to know what the Bible actually teaches.
So today we want to look at what the biblical authors actually say about this difficult topic. Not to frighten anyone, but to understand how it fits into the larger story the Bible is telling.
So when Jesus and other biblical writers talk about hell, what are they actually describing?
Well, Jesus uses some pretty stark imagery. He talks about outer darkness and weeping and gnashing of teeth. He describes it as an eternal fire that was originally prepared for the devil and his angels.
And this isn't just metaphorical language.
The biblical authors seem to be describing a real place of separation from God. But here's what's interesting. While they use images of fire and darkness, many scholars think the worst aspect isn't physical torment.
What do you mean?
It's the separation from God himself. Think about it. In the biblical story, God is the source of all life, all goodness, all joy. To be cut off from that source?
It would be to lose everything that makes existence meaningful.
Exactly. It's like being exiled from Eden all over again, but permanently.
But this raises a really hard question. If God is loving, why would hell exist at all?
That's the question, isn't it? And the biblical authors give us several ways to think about it.
Like what?
Well, first there's the issue of human freedom. Throughout the Bible, we see God honoring human choice, even when people choose to reject him.
So hell exists because God won't force anyone to love him?
Sort of, love that's forced isn't really love. And if someone consistently chooses to live apart from God, he eventually honors that choice.
That's sobering.
There's also the question of justice. The biblical story is full of injustice. Innocent people suffering, evil going unpunished. Hell represents God's promise that ultimately all wrongs will be made right.
And then there's the cross.
Exactly. If there's no real consequence for rejecting God, then Jesus' death becomes meaningless. The cross only makes sense if there's something we actually need to be saved from.
Now, the Bible uses different words when talking about death and what comes after. Can you help us sort those out?
Sure, in the Hebrew scriptures, there's Sheol. It's often translated as the grave or the pit. It's where all the dead go, both righteous and wicked.
So it's not necessarily a place of punishment?
Not always, it's more like the realm of the dead in general. In the New Testament, the Greek equivalent is Hades. Similar idea.
But then there's another word Jesus uses.
Gehenna. This is the word Jesus uses for the final hell. It comes from the Valley of Hinnom outside Jerusalem, where garbage was burned. Jesus uses it to describe the place of final judgment, where the fire is not quenched.
So Sheol and Hades are temporary, but Gehenna is final?
That's how many scholars understand it. It's the difference between a holding cell and a final sentence.
But here's the thing. The Bible doesn't just warn about hell, it offers a way out.
Right, and it's not about being good enough or doing enough religious activities.
So what is it?
Well, it starts with recognizing the problem. Paul writes that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. We're all in the same boat, separated from God by our rebellion.
But God doesn't leave us there.
No, Paul also says that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. God took the initiative. He didn't wait for us to clean up our act. The reality is we couldn't.
So the solution is?
Repentance and faith. Repentance means turning away from living life on our own terms. Faith means trusting that Jesus' death and resurrection actually dealt with our separation from God.
Paul puts it simply. If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved.
It's not about earning your way to heaven. It's about accepting what Christ has already done.
When you step back and look at the whole biblical story, hell isn't the main point.
No, it's more like a dark backdrop that makes the light shine brighter.
What do you mean?
Think about it. The story begins in a garden where humans live in perfect relationship with God. Then there's rebellion, exile, and separation.
But God immediately promises that someone will come to fix what's broken.
Right, and the whole rest of the Bible is about God working to restore that relationship. Hell represents the alternative, permanent separation from the life and love we were created for.
So, in a way, the doctrine of hell actually highlights how precious God's offer of salvation is.
Exactly. It shows us both the seriousness of our condition and the depth of God's love in providing a way back.
This is heavy stuff, but there's hope here too.
There is, because the same Bible that warns about hell also promises that God is not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance.
And Jesus said, "I have come that they might have life and have it abundantly." The offer is open, the path is clear, and the invitation is for everyone.
Hell reminds us that our choices matter. They have eternal consequences. But it also reminds us that God has made a way for us to choose life.